right, everybody, welcome back. Man, we've been gone for a little bit, but we are back with a special episode of The Role Players. And for today, we got a special quick podcast. And if you don't know, we're going to get straight to it. We're going to talk some NBA news. And if you didn't know, the big Blockbuster deal that went down yesterday was the Kyrie trade. Nappy G breakdown who all got traded for who.
So, Cleveland Cavaliers received guard Isaiah Thomas, forward Jay Crowder, forward prospect forward Ante Zizic, I think that's how you say his name.
Zizic, something like that.
And a first round draft pick, and the Celtics received Kyrie Irving.
That was a blockbuster deal. So, Nappy G, give me your perspective on.
I feel like it's a bad trade for both teams. So, first for Boston. Boston basically gave up all the defense they had in this offseason. Because, the only real defense they had last year was Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, and Amir Johnson. Amir Johnson went on to Philly. They traded Avery Bradley for Marcus Morris, who he's not a bad defender, but he's not going to lock nobody down either. That's what you really need right now in Boston. And then Jay Crowder went to Cleveland. So I just think Boston could have played their pieces better. You know what I mean? I feel like they could have gotten a better deal if they had just pushed it a little bit harder. On Cleveland side, I was looking at some of the deals they had been offered, and I feel like the Detroit offer would have been way better than what they took from Boston. I remember Detroit offered Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond. They offered any combination of Reggie Jackson, Andre Drummond, Tobias Harris, Avery Bradley, and Stanley Johnson. And then any second round draft pick. And Cleveland declined the trade because they said they weren't interested if they could get Stanley Johnson off them. So I feel like, but then even the Phoenix deal, that would have brought them Eric Bledsoe. I feel like that would have been a better deal because they were getting more pieces for the future. Because I still feel like LeBron's going at this point. Because I feel like that whole situation is damaged beyond repair. So I feel like LeBron's going to be gone at this point, and there's no, you know what I mean? Like there's no saving that. There's no changing that. So I feel like they should be trying to rebuild, and I think they could start off in a better position without making the Boston trade. Not to mention Isaiah Thomas is only on a contract for 1 more year, and he wants to get paid. And I'm not sure if I want to pay 30-year-old 5'9" Isaiah Thomas max money. Because, in my opinion, he's not a max player, especially not at his age. If you know what I'm saying.
Who's not a max player?
Isaiah Thomas.
Okay. Now, so let me ask you this. On paper, if you had to choose a winner, who would you say won the deal? If you had to choose a winner.
If I had to choose, Cleveland won.
Okay.
Because Boston, I said Boston didn't go up, they didn't go down either. But Cleveland team got a little bit better. I feel like Cleveland got better for now. So I say they won.
I felt, looking at it, I felt like both teams won on paper. On paper, both teams won, but of course, a lot of stuff has to be settled on the basketball court, which, that's going to be coming up October 17th because they play opening night against each other. So they got a little bit over a month to prepare for training camps. Then they get going with preseason, and then, they get the ground running in October. Looking at it, I agree with some of the things like you're saying, especially from Cleveland's standpoint. They definitely had to look towards the future. The new general manager, Kobe Altman, had to say, all right, there could possibly 80% chance there's going to be life without LeBron. We'll say it because there's still a chance LeBron stays, but we all feel that he's definitely gone. And the crazy thing for Cleveland was they wanted Tatum. They wanted Jason Tatum in the deal. But Boston didn't want to give up. So basically, they saw that 2018 Nets first round pick was basically going to be the equivalent of Jason Tatum in a trade. Which Cleveland, that was smart for them to get that in there. Get their chance to get that. Was able for them to smooth that into the deal. But here's another thing from the Boston side that I was thinking of, and which kind of made sense for me, was Boston really, they had to feel two things. One, they had to feel that LeBron is leaving. They had to feel like that for them to pull this deal. And to be honest, I got to read out because I had tweeted this out too on I said here's what my opinion for the whole deal. It says Cavs got deeper, in my opinion, adding another defensive player. I ain't gonna say they're more equipped to guard the Warriors in an NBA Finals. They're a little bit more, but Steph's still gonna be able to shoot over Isaiah Thomas. So that there's gonna be you'll probably see Shump guarding Stephen Curry in a series because it's gonna be. And I did forget that they did get deeper as a team. I think they're a little bit more equipped than they are last year to guard Golden State than they were previous years.
Yeah.
IT is definitely a defensive liability, which same as Kyrie was. They both can play when they want to, but being 5'9" and he's almost 30 years old, that's kind of crazy. Injuries will always be an issue because you never know who's going to be healthy, who's going to be hurt. And as the Celtics lost a lot of their depth, which they did, giving away Crowder, Bradley, Olynyk, Jerebko, Johnson. They basically let it go their second team, basically, if you think about it, just to get 2 stars. And they're also, in the Celtics, I think, like I said, banking on 2 things. They're banking on LeBron leaving to the West and the development of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. If those 2 guys can develop, they're going to have to develop pretty fast. I think that's the 2 things that they were doing with giving away all their bench depth, their veteran bench depth, because they've been building this for 4 years. So, Cleveland's just trying to win in 2 or 2 to 3 or 1 year. So, I said, and here's another thing to take in consideration. I feel that Brooklyn pick won't be as high as people think because they definitely have a better team now in the Eastern Conference. Plus, you still got teams like Indiana, Chicago, and Atlanta that's going to be young. Orlando, yeah, you still got those teams that still don't kind of know where they're going to be at as far as Eastern Conference, and they could be down there at the bottom, and all of them on their pick. So I feel like the Nets pick could potentially be higher than what they're thinking of.
I feel like it's still going to be a top 7 pick, but I'm just going to, people be talking about like Cleveland might be able to get Marvin Bagley. I don't think that's going to.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, I think Boston's record going to be a little bit higher now. They may get lucky in the draft lottery. They've known to be lucky before in the draft lottery, so, lightning might strike twice for them again, so you never know they get lucky. But also from the Boston side, I definitely know that Danny Ainge was not ready, or I don't think he was willing to give Isaiah Thomas that $200 million Supermax extension. I know for a fact he wasn't going to.
Yeah,
there was no way they were going to give him that. I don't think they would have.
In the trade press conference, he had said that he didn't want to give up the pieces that he did, but he's glad to have Kyrie on board. So I feel like he was kind of saying he didn't want to give up Isaiah, but he realized that was going to be the better decision, and that he was glad to have Kyrie.
Yep, and on Cleveland's side, them getting an expiring contract is going to be good because that can lure in another free agent, or they can save them money. And that their salary cap money, they was at $74 million over the salary cap tax. Now with them making this trade, they saved like $24 million. Now they're underneath the cap. So, they're getting close to being underneath. They're still $50-something million over the cap, but that's saving them money and a little bit of tax dollars that they don't have to pay as much. So I also another point I wanted to talk to you about. So I've also seen that people are getting mad at the trade, not the trade, but they're getting mad at. I saw something on, I think it was on one of the social medias, and they were saying that they were getting mad at the Boston franchise for trading away somebody that had played after their sister died, and they were getting like Evan Turner came out and said something about it. And a couple other people came out and said something about it. My thing to that is he loves the game of basketball. So the basketball would have been a stress relief or anything. I'm pretty sure if, he definitely didn't have to play. He could have easily said, I won't play. But I think he loved the game of basketball that much. And it could have been the last day of the regular season, I think he still would have played, because they love the game so much, and that's a stress reliever to be out there on the court playing basketball. I just didn't like how people try to turn that against the franchises. And don't get me wrong, franchises in this day and age in the NBA and even in sports in general, you can't be loyal to a franchise. Trust me, I know, because it's all a bigger business, and you got to look out for yourself when it comes to the business side of things. But at the same time, I think Isaiah Thomas' love for the basketball was more than playing for a franchise. Because if that whatever you love to do, you definitely gonna do it with your passion. So, anything else you want to add to?
Only thing, like you were saying, only thing I feel like gonna hurt Cleveland is the injuries, because they did get deeper. Because keep in mind, they didn't have no scoring in the finals coming off the bench. But JR gonna slide down to. They end up just the line of JR Smith, 6 man.
Yeah.
So they'll have that scoring coming off the bench.
Did you see? It was the podcasting with Richard Jefferson and Shannon Fry, and they said that every time Darren Williams got on the court during the finals, the Golden State team their eyes lit up because they knew it was time to go after him. Go right at him, yeah. And so. But like you said, I think they definitely did get younger. They got more bench depth, and it's going to be interesting to see what lineups they play with. Because you could definitely go small. You can go real small with that team.
They're going to have to be smart with the minute split done. Because like I said, Isaiah Thomas in that hit, we already know about Derrick Rose and his knees. So I think they're going to have to be cautious with how they play these players. I also feel like, for some reason, something's giving me a feeling there's going to be a lot that doesn't have LeBron in it. And if it happens.
Now, I'm going to ask you this. Can you got the Warriors small ball, and what was their small ball lineup? Do you remember?
Curry, Thompson, Iguodala, Durant,
Draymond. That was their small ball lineup. Now, will Cleveland's small ball lineup? IT, JR, Jay Crowder, Bron, and Kevin Love, who would win?
Golden State still win. That's not even a challenge.
I mean, I'm just looking at the lineup. I was just thinking that's their small. That could be their death. Their lineup of death. And again, it's Golden State's lineup of death. I still think, like you said, it's still mismatches all over the court.
Because I feel like scoring-wise, Steph and Isaiah balance out.
Mm-hmm.
JR can get killed by Klay Thompson any night. Because Klay Thompson is just Klay Thompson. Is Jay Crowder really a scorer? So I guess him and Iguodala might cancel out. I think Jay Crowder and Iguodala in there for defensive purposes. It's my ball lineup.
Yeah, because this is definitely going to be the cross matchup because Iggy will definitely probably be guarding LeBron and
Crowder's going to be guarding Durant.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to LeBron Durant, I think it's going to be really one-on-one and then the 4 players. But then I think what's going to make a difference for Golden State is Draymond is still going to be an X factor, and he's going to outplay Kevin Love every night. Because people be looking at stats all the time, and I'm like, even though Draymond's stat line might not show every night that he made an impact.
There's things that he do that won't show up on the stat line. Yeah, you definitely, 100% on that. And my next question I asked you, do you think Isaiah Thomas, now that he's going to Cleveland, can he be a person that still can... We know he's going to have to change his game. We are, because playing with LeBron is one thing. You're going to have to change your game. But can you see Isaiah Thomas being a knockdown shooter or a person with his hands less on the ball? Because he was ball dominant in Boston, until the hip injury. So can you see him becoming less ball dominant? That's the end. Can he become a knockdown shooter?
I think he has to be ball dominant because of his height. He has to create his space.
Right.
When you 5'9", really all the defender has to do is just keep his hands up and stay close to him. So I think if he does become a spot-up shooter, I think he's gonna be like a Klay Thompson, one dribble, or maybe like a catch and shoot, come off the screen, stuff like that. I think that's probably gonna be his role. I still think he's gonna ball his hands somewhat. I don't think he can just completely transition from a ball handler to a spot-up shooter. I think if he does, it's gonna take time.
Yeah, and I definitely know with Crowder, he gonna have to have that. He gonna have to have that jumper knocked down because basically he's just gonna be a tall version of Shump if he doesn't be able to knock down the jumper more consistent than Shump. I think there's definitely gonna be minutes for him. And now you know who else I keep forgetting that Cavs signed? Jeff Green. I forgot that they signed him too, and that's how when I realized it was death. Because what it made me think about it was went to 2K last night. Download Embrace the Pace rosters. Man, shout out to Embrace the Pace, man. He won't be with us on 2K18, man. I tweeted him out, and I was like, man, I appreciate everything Embrace the Pace did for the 2K culture because, man, that's grind work. Lord knows, how much time and effort he put in, but, won't see him in 2K18. 2K17 was his last draft class, and roster, so, my hat's off to him. But yeah, I was on there looking at his roster, and then looking at the roster, I was like, wow. I didn't see where the bench was coming from for Boston. So basically, I would say if I looked at the Boston's roster and their lineup, I think from even looking at it, because one of my friends posted it on their computer on Twitter. I think the lineup is definitely going to be Kyrie. Yeah, here it is. It's going to be Kyrie. Probably Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Marcus Morris, and then Al Horford. That's probably going to be the starting five. And if they didn't start Jaylen Brown at the 2, then they might go Kyrie, then Marcus Smart with a small lineup. And then, but if you look at Cleveland, you got Isaiah Thomas, Derrick Rose, Calderon, and you still got K. Felder. You got JR, Kyle Korver, Shump. You got LeBron, Richard Jefferson. You got Kevin Love. And after Richard Jefferson, you probably got Jay Crowder. They got Jay Crowder listed as a power forward on here. But you got Kevin Love, Jay Crowder, Jeff Green. And you still got Tristan Thompson, Channing Frye, and Zizic, and then Tavares. So on paper, you look at it, it still looks like Cleveland is deeper because they got 2 and 3 people in this position.
I feel like Cleveland's the best team in the East after this trade, but I don't think Cleveland or Boston is gonna represent the East in the finals. Something telling me this is gonna be the year Washington does something after the trade last night. I feel like it's gonna shake stuff up.
Yeah, they gotta.
But John Wall and Bradley Beal gotta show up in the playoffs because that whole fourth quarter fall off John Wall did.
I mean, John Wall showed up. He just ran out of gas.
Yeah.
He showed up. He just ran out of gas. So that was the hardest thing that he did was, running out of gas on stuff. So that's what he said. He's been conditioning, been getting all his mind right. And we'll see from there. So, because Jay Crowder definitely has a great contract. He may be on the trade blocks too when it's all said and done. So I definitely don't think that Cleveland is done trading. I think they're done. They're going to make 1 or 2 moves, and I'm not talking about if D-Wade gets bought out, then they sign D-Wade. I'm talking about as far as another transfer moves. I know if I was their franchise going forward, I definitely would look for. What's the name for the future. Because they got to have a backup plan. And I don't think they're going to fall for it twice. They're not going to do that twice. I definitely think that they're end it from there. So anything else you want to?
When you said that, it made me think what I was telling you about earlier. When you said, I don't think they're going to fall for it twice. That's why I'm thinking. When I read the rumor, the whole Russell Westbrook thing, Paul George, how he said, how LA's under investigation for tampering.
Mm-hmm. That's a whole other podcast for a whole other time.
Yeah, I was just saying. But I feel like that's going to be dissolved. And Paul George is going to most likely leave Oklahoma City after the season. And we noticed it's been about, a month now, and Russell ain't even touched his extension. So I feel like at this point they're getting a little nervous because of the whole Kevin Durant situation. So I feel like if he don't bite down soon, they're going to start looking to move. And that's why I was saying LA might be the place they're trying to send him. LA, clearing cap space for them 2 stars. And OKC's already expressed interest in Jordan Clarkson and Julius Randle in the LA. And they just said if they can get a draft pick to go with him, or maybe a second round pick or 2, something like that, to go with Jordan Clarkson and Julius Randle. That might be something.
Hold on. So you're telling me that it would be Jordan Clarkson, Julius Randle, and who else? Or
it was. They said two potential scenarios you might see. Okay, see.
Where'd you read this at? Please, can you pull the article? I want to see that.
It was on. My article might still be up there. It was on Oklahoma.
Their website out there. Okay.
But they were saying it was two things. They said it was either gonna be. It was a combination, and they said there was a trade possibility that would include Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson, and a first round draft pick. And then there was another one that was Lonzo Ball, but they said they don't think the Lakers will give up Lonzo Ball. So that's what they were saying.
Yeah, definitely.
The first trade is more realistic.
Because if they do, if they did that, the Lakers would definitely keep Lonzo, and that would make Russell Westbrook a 2-guard, basically.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So I'm on realgm.com checking out to see if that could even line up. If that was even something. I still don't. Let me see. You said
it was Julius Randle, Jordan Clarkson, and there was another player on the thing.
That trade would work.
It was a prospect they had on the trade too, like on the trade block with it.
Probably be like Kuzma.
I think it was
probably Kyle Kuzma or Josh Hart.
Yeah, I think it was Josh Hart.
Let's see. Trade cannot be. Oh, this trade is incomplete. Oh, it probably might be too much.
Oh, Russell's not on there.
Oh yeah. That wouldn't work for them to. Only what work is that. But I'll tell you one thing. They're going to have to throw what's name in the deal too. Best believe Luol Deng would definitely be in the deal. And now I'm just doing that to see if we could get Paul George and Russell Westbrook. Let me see if that. Okay, that's what I figured will work. And if we throw Josh Hart in there too, see if that work. Still don't work.
Try the NBA trade machine. I think this might be the website.
Yeah. So what did we say? We said Julius, Jordan Clarkson for Westbrook. This trade failed.
If the salary don't add up.
Oh yeah. Oh dang. But yeah, we get it worked on the other one. Yeah. It worked, but that would be the.
It would just be a sign and trade situation.
Yeah, and then because both of them can definitely be free agents coming up after next summer, which I think I know if I'm OKC, I definitely ride a wave out. I wouldn't even be trying to stress a. I mean, I know that's a fine line. I mean, they can push what they can push for him to sign an extension, but at the same time, I think you kind of let it play out and let it see what. I asked him again at training camp. Started training camp, I'd ask. If he doesn't say anything, be like, all right, the offer's still on the table. You let us know. Then if it gets to about All-Star Weekend, that's when you kind of be like, uh-oh, because trade deadline is All-Star Weekend, before All-Star Weekend, so I'd be like, all right, here we go. Let's see what he's going to do. And then who knows, but that junk is going to be crazy. It's going to be interesting with that, too. That's a story to pick up with. But, if we ain't got anything else, that'll end our podcast today. We'll be back. We're going to get the NFL thing started in a couple weeks. Trying to get this preseason over with, so we'll see y'all.
I got tickets to week 4 in the New Dome.
You do? Who they play?
Jacksonville.
All right, then. But Nappy G, the coach, Hollish, Dambino, we out.